good to go. All right, Gavin, the show is yours.
Aha! Wait for a few people to jump in. How you doing, guys? Gavin at ASM here. I know I haven't done one of these with you guys before, so nice to meet you all. If you haven't seen my face, I do a bit of the rugby with ASM. Fabs is usually the poster boy for rugby because he's far prettier than I am.
Yes.
That's Fabian giggling and all. He's all happy that I boosted his ego there.
Oh, we should be good. Wait for Corbs. Just one thing, make sure that's always red. We're good to go.
Okay.
Cool, I'll leave it to you, man.
Very good. Corbs, have you just got out of bed?
No, mate. I'm just setting up. Isolation these days. Not many quiet rooms. I'm trying to close all the lights.
Yeah, there's a little bit of light coming through.
There we go.
You got it. Improve your technical abilities. You'll be fine, mate. All right, mate. The hair.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah, you look good, mate. Your hair's grown.
I haven't got many rooms in lockdown that are free.
Yeah.
Me and my missus and one other housemate. So.
Ah, right. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. We'll get into that a little bit. So, so what you've been doing, mate? I know that with your ADD and your coffee addiction, I'm pretty sure you're climbing the walls, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been training a lot. Obviously, this year's been a little bit of a bit different for me. I had particularly cancer. I got diagnosed with cancer in November. I had no surgery, chemotherapy. So I kind of got out of shape. Body just had to recover, and then I went straight back to work and just sort of, traveling, covering the rugby, doing everything. And I was back up and running, but I was nowhere near like 100% or feeling good.
Yeah.
And I'd say the only positive side of being locked down and everything that's gone on is it's given me a extended period of time to train, to not have to get on a plane. It's the longest I've been on a plane in forever.
Yeah, I bet.
Rest my body, eat healthy, get back in shape, and kind of feel back to normal, which I do now, which is nice. But I'm a little stir crazy now, wanting to actually do something. But I'd say the first 6 weeks, I actually kind of was pretty grateful for them because it kind of allowed me to hit reset.
Yeah, similar thing happened with myself. Like, just you have that opportunity to sort of think about things and get whatever you need to focus on because you can't do anything else. So you gotta get.
No, exactly. And I kept having excuses. Like when I was trying to recover from the cancer and all that, I was just getting out of shape, and I kept saying, "Oh, I'll eat healthy. I'll start. I'll train." And I was, but I wasn't. Like I would break easily if I got hungry. If I was traveling, I would eat something.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get in a good routine. But once I finally actually just locked in here, my missus plays on the USA Women's 7 side, so they got dropped off a rower, a few weights and stuff. I was like, I don't really have any excuse now.
Right.
So I've been smashing, rowing, lifting weights, eating clean.
Right.
I do 6 days a week, like very low carb, very clean, and then 1 day a week I have carbs with like one cheat meal, and it works quite well for me. I used to do it in rugby in pre-season.
Right. So it's
kind of the same sort of diet. It works quite well for me.
right. I was going to say, like, so you're actually over in California. You're spending most of your time over there. You've pretty much been locked in there, have you?
Yeah, in San Diego. It's been. I think I got back here mid-March, like just around the time the Six Nations was getting shut down. Then I was supposed to be in New York, and they flew me back because there was no final weekend of games. And then I've been here, like other than supermarket, CVS, and the odd like takeaway pickup, curbside pickup thing. I haven't really left the house except to exercise.
Mad.
So a little stir crazy. I started doing some Facebook. My brother showed me these courses. Like they do. Like I was learning about Instagram, business building, marketing.
Okay.
And you can get certified, like Facebook certifications and like different things. So I've been doing a little bit of that. And other than that, literally just been
chilling.
Chilling.
So I'm really interested to know a little bit about. Well, firstly, congratulations on the whole fiance thing and getting, because I haven't seen you since before then, mate. It's been a while.
It's been a while since I've been back to Florida. It's my fault, really, because I was always like, it's quite a big trip from the West Coast where I'm based now.
Yeah.
I was going back to work so much, every week. They just to go then to another flight to Florida was just always a bit far.
That's too big of a triangle. But so I'm really interested to know what it's like hanging out. Firstly, being I'm not saying married to, but about to get married to a USA women's rugby player, which is awesome. And so congratulations on that. But I'd be really interested to know about what's the lifestyle for the women in the USA national team. Obviously, you being kind of front and center on that, I think a lot of our viewers will get interested in that.
So the lifestyle, I'll start with the lifestyle. So basically, my fiance is one of the co-captains of the team. They train and are full-time professional. They train at Chula Vista down at the Olympic Center there. It's all year round. They get about usually 3-4 weeks off a year. Then Monday to Friday they train hard at the Olympic Center, and then they compete in the World Series. And then the goal was obviously the Olympics. It's been a tough one for her with the setback and the uncertainty about what's happening. But I do feel like eventually it will hopefully come together for her. And they make a decent living. It's hard. It's not the same as say men's playing in Europe and stuff, but it's pretty comparable to MLR at the moment. If you want to know that the salaries are probably in the same ballpark. It's a pretty good gig, and you get the chance to go to the Olympics, and also you pick up sponsors and other things as well. But they're good. It's hard. They train Monday to Friday hard, and then Saturday, Sundays usually their rest days. What do you like to date one? It's good. It's intense. She, obviously, being a captain, she's a bit of an alpha, so she likes to try and boss me around a bit. But I'm okay with that. Forwards and props, we used to being told what to do by the back.
Sure, you just get on with it, don't you? Otherwise.
What to do, so I do the grunt work around here, and she calls the shots. But it's really good. It's been awesome for me to. Obviously, I had my rugby journey, came and went, to watch hers, to give advice when needed, but most times she doesn't want to take it from me.
No, just keep your mouth closed.
Support,
Sure.
It's the most invested in watching her play and traveling to go watch her team and everything. It's as close to invested as you can get since I played. You're almost on the ride watching the games. Or even when I call so much rugby, I watch even mates play, ex-teams play. I still get excited, but it's not the same level of nerves that I used to get when I played.
Sure.
When I watched her. So
and
that's one of the big aspects.
And she's one of the leaders of the team. Is she captain?
Yeah, so they do a co-captain. So I think as of now it's her and Chris Thomas are co-captains, and they sort of take turns in captaining by taking more of the lead, and Abby does a bit more of the on-field general sort of stuff, and Chris is a big culture off-field team bonding captain as well, so they complement each other well, I think, as well.
So, okay, this might be interesting. I'll propose this to you, and maybe you can go have a word and put a good word in for us. Maybe one of the days we can get her on for our female rugby players, and sort of that would be really cool.
You can have her and my other housemate, Casey McCravey, West Point graduate, started playing rugby. She's in the army, a captain in the army, and got the W cap. So it was in that military program. She played softball to a very high level, captained at West Point, and then transitioned to rugby, and is now on the way to hopefully going to the Olympics as well. So maybe the two of them together would be a great vibe.
Absolutely, yeah, no, that'd be really interesting, because we're as an organisation now with ASM, as you've probably seen, that we're really beginning to get a bit of traction on the female side of the game.
Well, I think the female pathway for collegiate rugby in America is far more established than the men's, surprisingly, but it's to do with Title IX.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of the thing is, but a lot of schools, if they give, they have to give equal sports scholarships to men and women. And then so you think if you're a big school and you've got wrestling, basketball scholarships to give out, rugby on the men's side isn't really there. You've got to find women's sports to make sure you give equal scholarships out. Rugby on the women's side is much higher, has an Olympic pathway, it's a D1, it's a varsity sport. It really is a huge pull factor for athletes outside of the US and inside the US, because the American dream, their sports, the foundation is all built on the pathway, getting that scholarship, getting into universities, and the women are actually further ahead than the men in rugby in America, which a lot of people, if you don't actually pay attention, you might find surprising.
Yeah, no, when I first started getting into this a few years ago, and then even before we met each other, I was really surprised, and it's kind of snowballed, especially like the Ivy League schools. I know there was a young lady from Barbados just got herself into an Ivy League school playing rugby, and with our organisation now, it's becoming quite prevalent. Mount St Mary have taken a couple of our kids on, and then there's obviously Life University's very well established.
Dartmouth have a very strong women's program, which obviously Ivy League and recruit as well. Even Harvard, Yale have all the schools have committed to programs. I coach at Penn State. The women's program is very well supported, and for the men to go varsity there, it's probably going to be because the women pull them through, leading
the way,
and they go together more than the men being the reason why, based on where rugby lines up in a school like Penn State, which gets 110,000 people to every home football game.
It's crazy.
It's a big business money maker for the first men.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where the women's game goes. I've seen a lot of growth over the last couple of years. And maybe we probably should reserve that for Abby, but what was her pathway to get there?
So she had played a decent level, like state level basketball in Maryland.
Because she's tall. Yeah. How tall is she?
5'11" and a half, like just under 6 foot.
You guys are going to make some crazy big babies, man.
Super big. Gronkowski's running around in the NFL. So she did. She had never played rugby till she went to university and started it at University of Maryland. She got a scholarship at University of Maryland, an academic one. Found rugby there and just fell in love with it. The camaraderie, the team, the bonding, the contact, the sport suited her really well. And started her journey. Played at university, then played club, and kind of took a bit more of the longer road to make it to the women's sevens. Like she tried to make the Rio, didn't quite work. Was working. Then went and played 15s, went to a Women's World Cup, then came back to the 7 Series, and now is chasing that Olympic dream. And she's someone who got into medical school, could have gone to medical school, but decided to try and go to the Olympics first. And so she's very determined to see this dream out. Yeah,
that would be cool. And so that looks like that's all going to push to next summer. Am I right?
That is the plan as of now.
Japan, right?
By 2021.
Yeah, this coronavirus has killed everything. You mentioned Penn State, and I think you've done some work with UCLA. So you have your brand, which Team Corps, actually.
Team Corps.
I think Team Corps. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
Representing, mate. Represent with the ASM in the front.
Yeah.
So you've done what have you been doing with those guys?
Couldn't find it. Tried to find my Team Corps t-shirt. Couldn't find it. My life's a mess. I apologise.
Oh, man. So what's the pathway? Oh, sorry. What's the work that you've been doing with Penn State and I believe UCLA as well?
So I do some coaching consultancy under my Team Corps brand, which I sort of have like a jack of all trades of rugby in the US under there. Some of our work with ASM, promoting pathways for scholarships for MLR guys, transitioning help. Sponsors, but the main thing I do, or the main revenue generator from it, is the coaching consultancy. So basically at Penn State, I'm a coaching consultant. Initially started focusing primarily on the scrum because they're quite high requirements to get into Penn State. Sometimes it's hard to find the props or whatever they need to recruit to be able to, to have, like, say, a strong scrum just by recruitment. So bring someone like me in, I can coach up the scrum as a whole and make sort of the detail and the unity of the 8 and get the most out of it. And then that kind of transitioned to forwards work, to a bit of defense, to kind of everything now. And my role basically kind of encompasses all of those things at Penn State. And UCLA is very similar. So mainly a forwards consultancy. Penn State, I usually do 3 days a week in season, and at UCLA I would just do 1 day a week as drive down.
Just get inside their head and get them a bit more knowledge each time.
Get review. I do all the video review already, so they see their clip out what they did well at the scrum stuff. We go through that individually. Then I do like a forwards, like light scrum technique session, and then I do some forwards in the team session on a Tuesday night. and then that's my involvement there, and then I would review on the weekend, and also help teams with recruitment and stuff like that as well.
Okay. So there's a quick question there from Joaquin Fontan. I think he's from Argentina, if I remember speaking to him. He was asking about the SAT and TOEFL grades, but yeah, with SAT with Penn State, it's pretty high. It must be in the 1300s or something, right?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around the 1300s. A little flexibility around rugby, I think that's the thing. 1300s, and I think you're going to be at least like a B+ student on your
it's a good school. You got to be smart.
It's a good school, and as far as like men's rugby go, there's no scholarships as such where they're like, oh, we'll give you a discount on your tuition, but the coach for the right players has powers to help with the admissions process.
Yeah.
And, if he finds the right players that he wants to recruit, and as long as they are in the ballpark of the academic requirements, there's a lot that can be done to help get you into school, because they turn down, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's over 20,000 students that have the grades to get in. Do you know what I mean? Like the turn down rate of not just students in total, but students that actually meet the on paper requirements is still hugely high. So it's actually, to have that, use rugby as the gateway to get you in, is extremely beneficial. There's other schools that follow that mantra in the US, but there's other schools that actually give scholarships and other things as well. It kind of varies piece to piece, and it's one of the reasons why coming to a company like ASM is so valuable, because it's not really like a just one landscape that's easy to navigate. It's actually a maze. You kind of need people that know the lay of the land, with way this school does it, how this does it, what this does, to be able to really help. And I think rugby is one of those sports where we actually can be a massive benefit to, because it's not straightforward. Even if you're in the US, it's not straightforward. If you're an international student, it's incredibly not straightforward.
Yeah. And sort of give the crowd that are watching a little bit of background. What was your process? Because you're actually American, but people presume you're English.
So I was born in New York. My father is Italian-American, hence Corbisiero is the last name. My mum is Irish parents, but born and raised in England. And my parents met, my dad was working in London, and they met, got engaged, came back, had me at age just before I turned 5. We moved back to England. I started playing rugby at 5, grew up there, and basically played all my rugby there through till I retired at 27 after 10 years professional, and played for England, played for British Lions, played all this, but I have US citizenship. And one of the reasons why ASM kind of appealed to me, and I was getting involved and understanding a little bit more about what they do, is when I was in high school in England, I actually applied to US universities. I applied to UC Berkeley. I got recruited. I almost took the deal with Berkeley and Coach Jack Clark, who's a great coach.
So he was there back then, was he, as well?
Yeah, he's
been there forever.
For a long time. And I actually, before I got picked in any England under 18 stuff, when I was like 16, 17, I played some USA under 19 stuff for Salty Thompson, and Jack Clark came to scout, and he recruited me after that. Met my dad. They did all, and I had the offer there, and I had my professional rugby contract at 17 from London Irish, and I went back and forth for a long time. I decided to defer a year, and Jack was fine with that. And when London Irish offered me another 2 years, I just couldn't, because I was a young senior anyway. 1 year didn't seem to be too big. Then I got offered 2 more years, and then I eventually decided to stay in the UK, but I just had a lot more insight into the rugby landscape in America, and also the admissions process for university, and how you didn't have Jack Clark or have the connection there, or how you get recruited. I don't know how you would have started on trying to link up like sort of the deals that I eventually got offered. Yeah.
So that makes sense why that would be attractive. Why working with us would be attractive, and I really appreciate you coming in and doing everything that you've done over the last year or two. Well, a couple of years now. But I just want to let everybody know what happened and how we met, because that for me was pretty cool. Obviously, big fan of yours. Prior to that, I didn't play rugby at any decent level, so we never crossed paths. But just to sort of give you a slap on the back for this, and the kids at my rugby club still talk about you coming over. So just for those at home, Alex had retired pretty much, come over here. He's got a place in Miami, and I see him on Instagram bumbling around on the beach on his big bicycle, having a good time. And I'm like, this is Alex Corbisiero. He's probably, how old were you then? 28 or something? Yeah. And I'm like, why is this guy over here? He's got to come out. So I flick him a message on Instagram and say, hey, I see you're in South Florida. I've got a rugby club. Could you come over and maybe hang out with the kids, throw the ball around and maybe sign some pictures, take a few pictures, sign some autographs? And sure enough, lo and behold, Alex Corbisiero turns up at Okapi Wanderers. And I'll be honest with you, mate, a lot of those kids that you had to run around with that day, they're in university now. They're playing rugby in university, and you know.
I see on the Okapi page a few that I recognise. Some have even gone to the UK and played for a bit.
Yep.
It's awesome to see, and yeah, that's one of the special things about rugby. Like, it's just there's something about a rugby club, the community, the feeling, the sport, the camaraderie, the respect, and also how fortunate position of someone who's had a career like I have can just give up a bit of my time, come down to a club or whatever, and can make an impact, and people still remember it and talk about it, where I only gave up a few hours of my day. And
exactly.
So when you look at like really what the cost to me was a few hours of a day of me bike riding in the sun. At that point, it may have much going on.
Yeah. Or
I was retired and work NBC, but no real other gigs at the time, or coming down and actually helping it was I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was
giving back and such, especially in America, which is a country on the grassroots level, and everything needs as much sort of people to give back as much as possible.
Yeah, no, it was really appreciated, and I'll be honest, there was, for the little guys that were there that day, imagine they're getting a picture with this guy, 6'3" or whatever it is, and it makes a big impact. And I'll still see kids that maybe follow us on Instagram or something. It's like, I noticed that you spoke to that big guy that came from England. Da, da, da. And it makes a big impact on the younger guys. So yeah, that was really cool.
And then obviously being on NBC in the US, and we're there, like obviously at the moment rugby's on a bit of a hiatus, but eventually having that presence as well is a good way to sort of show that people can see you, and you can, even though I'm not playing anymore, still in enough of a spotlight that people have that recognition. You can give back, and it means something.
Yeah, it's very cool, very cool. So I wanted to ask about. I know that you had an interview with the guys in New York. What's the name of the show? McCarthy. What's his name?
Rugby Rap.
Yeah, in the there's a pub in New York that do that TV show. You were out there recently, or you had an interview with someone there?
Oh, I did it through the Skype, whatever he does. Zoom, that's what everyone's doing now.
Yeah.
And so I do that at my podcast, The Scrum Down, which is with NBC, where I do one a week, where we have an interview, a guest, drop a long format interview out there,
nice.
And get some good guests on that, and it keeps it interesting at the moment. But at the same time, there's not been much going on other than a few calls like this as well, and things like that. So
what I'd like to talk about a little bit is what's from your perspective. I've seen USA Rugby and sort of some of the issues that they have with the whole bankruptcy thing that we're hearing about, and within rugby in general, obviously there's everyone's having problems in every industry, but with USA Rugby's opted to go the bankruptcy route, and at the collegiate level, men's rugby's actually run by USA Rugby. Do you have any thoughts on what's going to happen in that pathway? Because I'm seeing a lot of universities changing the conferences that they're playing in because of these issues.
Yeah,
possibly.
I think it will have ramifications. That bankruptcy, obviously, I think USA Rugby, if they looked at hindsight, would say they overstretched themselves trying to regulate and look after all rugby in the United States, as well as run high-performance operations in 15s and 7s in men and women's. Stretched them too far. Financially, they couldn't support it enough. They made some terrible business decisions from dating back, 3, 4, 5 years. Huge losses meant they became completely reliant on World Rugby bailouts. That was continuing. They overspent at the World Cup in 2019, and basically the only way they were going to survive is World Rugby bailing them out again. But up comes the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Every union in the world now is suffering for financially. World Rugby needs to spread the relief money around. They can only give them a couple billion, which was enough for them to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy and not 7, so they still exist. So there was like a restructuring, wipe a lot of their debts, gut a lot of their staff, half pay a lot of the coaches. Devastating for the performance programs that are trying to aim for Olympics and such, to have, lose most of your coaching team, your coaches on half pay. But then trickling back to the collegiate setup, obviously they had to run collegiate rugby, grassroots rugby, state to state, everything. This might open the door for, I think the future is probably going to hold that it's almost self-governing, that USA Rugby don't govern everything on like a micro level, and that these universities form their own conferences. Maybe an NCAA rugby initiative really takes hold, and you get one committee. But I kind of feel like different teams are going to go to different conferences that make their suit their schedule, and then the big issue is going to be the national championship and how they regovern that, because there's always been a bit of a divide anyway between the East Coast and the West Coast schools based around the season and when the championships are held. I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but all the East Coast schools play their 15 season from August till November, December, early December, and then that's when the West Coast play sevens, and then the East Coast can't play during the snowy months of the winter. The West Coast play their 15s then the East Coast have to rejig, get back up in the spring and March, and they basically play off. The East Coast teams are ranked in the fall. The West Coast teams get ranked in the winter/spring, and they play a national championship in April. So almost in the East Coast team too. So I feel like some sort of solution, even if they separate it East and West, or they find a way. But I feel like these are going to come to some sort of workable solution.
It's just such a massive country. I think that's maybe the biggest problem for rugby in the USA.
That's one of the biggest things, and one of the things with USA Rugby is it's too big a country to run everything. That's why they stretch themselves so far. It's not that they did the wrong initiative, but it's very hard to compare what USA Rugby have to do to what the RFU or most other unions, NZRU, IRU, WRU, all these places, because honestly, California's got as many people as the UK in it. Whole UK, it's too big a country to govern like that, and then it also has completely different seasons. It's one of the reasons why the American rugby landscape is so disjointed, is because it's so big that the seasons are different. They play different times of year. It's very hard to get proper connective tissue through the whole country. That's why MLR was pretty incredible, is that it finally united the whole US on a rugby season schedule league kind of basis, which has been very, very hard to do. Yeah. Actually,
that's a good segue to get into the MLR and stuff. I know that you've done a few things. I think you did your scrum work with Team Corbs at San Diego at one point, didn't you?
San Diego a little bit at Houston, and then a fair bit. The most I've done is probably with the New Orleans Gold.
Okay.
And if I hadn't had cancer this year, I would have gone and done their whole preseason with them this year, but it just came at the wrong time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and that's one of the things I offer very good elite level scrum coaching, prop individual work, which is one of the things that is my point of difference over in the US, is that I feel like at the scrum, when it comes to detail from props but to the whole eight, my detail is world class, and so being able to help these teams get up to scratch, instead of signing big foreign international players to fill certain spots for double, triple the money, you can give me a US prop or a younger prop, and I can mold him and give him the right tools that he'll do the same job at the scrum time, and give him time to develop, and it's cost effective, good for USA Rugby, good for everything, and I also really enjoy it. I can do more coaching with the MLR. It's mainly been scrum, and then the other stuff I do for them is some recruitment, Team Corbs, and I found Ben Foden for Rugby United, helped do that deal. San Diego, a number of players, just connecting players, coaches, people. I know I can pretty much pick up the phone and call anyone in the MLR, and they'll take my call. And so if someone reaches out to me, players, whatever, and you'll find the right place for them, or the right person to connect them with, or the right team. Yeah,
that's actually a question that I get a lot. You might be able to help with that. So with players that are wanting to come over here, obviously the Collegiate Pathways is a very good pathway, and now they're going to do the MLR draft, which I guess that's going to kick in this next season. But for those guys that maybe don't want to do college, how are they going to do it? What level do they need to be at to be able to go directly into the MLR? Do you have an insight to that?
If you're a foreigner and you want to come into the MLR, it's mainly the biggest hurdle is the visa. So basically, the reason why the collegiate system coming through is so attractive is it gets you in the US, it helps you with the visas, it's a good pathway with the draft and getting scouted. But if you're trying to circumvent that or whatever, you need a minimum, an international cap at under 20s will get you in. So if you play for your country at under 20s, whatever it is, that will get you in. If you play professional, not semi-pro, but professional, and you play a certain amount of games, that should get you in. Sevens caps will get you in. But you kind of need, like most visa applications in the US, you need to prove that you're skilled sort of foreign labor, that you can do a job that someone in the US couldn't do.
Right. And
biggest, easiest way is if you played like under 19s, under 20s for your country, that's a good way to get into the MLR. If you're not having to play at some decent level of professional. It's the hardest part of getting in the MLR is the visa situation. That is why when most people ask me if they're young enough, I say, go through the college, mate.
That's it.
Get a world-class degree at a great school, have a great time, live the absolute dream in life on an amazing American university campus experience, play the rugby, get in the right situation to get a right visa, transition to the MLR and play that way. That is the best route in.
Yep.
There are ways in, but it's hard because the American immigration system is the biggest hurdle to the MLR.
Yeah, and I always pitch to the kids as well, the strength and conditioning and the facilities that you're going to receive while you're in university is, that prepares you directly for professional sports. That I think American universities are structured specifically to go to that next level and sort of get the conditioning right, get all of that training correct, so that you're in a professional environment anyway, training 4 or 5 hours a day.
Exactly. You get unbelievable facilities, coaching, the support staff, all of those, especially the big universities, is world class. And just American sports are so far developed, especially collegiate level, the strength and conditioning, the rehab, the facilities, everything, the diet, nutrition. You've got such an amazing sort of network of that you benefit even just by other top sports being at the university, let alone rugby, that it is a great place to develop. It's not too many games either, because I think a lot of people sometimes try and rush to pro rugby, rush to get in there. I was playing professional at 17, playing men's professional by 19, done at 27. That's not always first to the post, you know what I mean? You want to make sure that you give yourself time to develop, you're still improving, you're not overplaying at a young age, because you only get so many miles on you. I always say my body's like a car. There's only so many miles before the car breaks down and it won't start again to what you need it to do. So don't always need to rush. Sometimes a bit more of a steady development curve, for me, in hindsight, might have been a better option.
Yeah. There's a question came in from Olivier Vanesh. He's asking, from what county did you originally come from? I'm presuming he's talking about in the UK.
Yeah, so Surrey, I played at.
You played at Surrey?
Didn't get into Surrey under 16s. Did a little 15s under development, 16s, got in at 17s and then 18s and then London Irish. I was a bit of a late developer. I grew a lot from 15, 16 to 17. I went from about 5'6" or 7" to 6'2". And then started to fill out and finally started lifting weights, and that's when everyone was like, oh, okay, he can actually start playing.
And you were playing schoolboy rugby as well. What school did you go to?
So I went to initially I went to school in Wimbledon, didn't really play rugby. Then I went to Reeds for a few years, which is in Surrey, which is a decent rugby program. And then I decided, if it wasn't for rugby, my plan was always to go to university in America. Yeah. So I actually went to an international school. It's called the ACS Cobham International outside London in Surrey. And it was basically an American high school, an international high school. You did the international baccalaureate or American APs and SATs, and basically with the aim of applying to British or American schools. So I actually got accepted to Loughborough, almost went there, almost went to Brunel because it was near London Irish. And I had the Berkeley offer as well. Those were my 3 choices, really. And then I did my university degree.
Losing a signal? Are you still there?
Sorry, mate. My screen time app told me I've been on Instagram too long.
It's all good. No worries, mate. No worries.
And so basically, what I was saying was, I did my degree in the evenings while playing professional rugby. I went to University of London's night school, Birkbeck College, and got my BA in history.
Nice.
Is how I got my degree in the end. Because I do feel, for everyone listening, I know we all want to play professional rugby, want to play professional sport, but it doesn't last forever. It just doesn't. You only have so much time. I have so many friends that did the exact same pathway as me that didn't make it, got injured early, didn't make a life from it, and then what you have to do for the next chapter of life. Having that degree is so beneficial. Having that experience, that ability to show employers potential jobs that you can, operate and have the tools to then excel at the next chapter of life. I think rugby gives you so many attributes to make you a valuable hire to jobs and everything in the post-career, but it's a crazy world we live in. But having that degree just gets you into the bigger rooms where you can excel even higher.
Absolutely.
Not always, but majority-wise.
I'm just going to respond there to Olivia. Kind of had another follow-up question, but basically was saying, is it hard to get a scholarship in the USA? I guess maybe he's looking to get over here.
I play at Millfield. Yeah, I know Millfield. If you played in the first at Millfield, depends on the position and what school's recruiting, but that sort of level, Millfield are one of the top sport private schools in the United Kingdom. Definitely in England. It's out in Somerset near Bath, and they've produced tons of England internationals. Always have a very competitive side. As long as if you're playing in the first there and you've played, say, county or age grade honours as well, it's a pretty strong chance. As long as the coach is looking at your position, there's a good chance you'll get a scholarship. The only way you wouldn't is if the teams that are offering scholarships had two sophomores or juniors in that position where they've already given scholarships and they're happy with for now. That's like the only time I would say someone like that. And then the other side is it depends on what your grades are as well.
It's a big one.
The better your grades are, the better the chance of scholarship. It's
Absolutely.
just a fact.
Absolutely.
If you can back it up, and I know we don't put that much into the on-field to be the best athlete we can be, but for that time when you're in school, really focusing on trying to get those grades, especially if this is your dream to come to America, it will really pay off.
Sweet. Okay, so sort of off topic a little bit. I know that you before you got a little sick, you were in really good shape and you were doing a lot of training and all that. And I saw that you were doing a lot of boxing. So obviously, my automatic reaction is, okay, Corbs is going to go into boxing, or maybe kickboxing, or maybe MMA kind of stuff.
If I did it, it would be MMA. When I left rugby, I couldn't run as much because my knees were all beat up, but I still had drive to train, and I missed the training, the guys, and I found my way to martial arts. Started with boxing, jiu-jitsu. Do a little bit of kickboxing, but not the best on my knees. So I'm more like a boxing, jiu-jitsu guy.
Sure.
There was a time where I thought about maybe fighting. I think now I've kind of let go of that dream, but I still enjoy it. I still like the training. Occasionally do light spar. Haskell makes a lot of money. Maybe I'll come out and choke him out.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Everybody would love to see.
Or something, make a good payday. But most likely, you'll never see me fight.
No. Get in the ring with Hask. I'd pay to watch you knock the crap out of Hask.
I'm pressuring, mate. I'm pressuring.
But you're friendly with you're friendly with James.
Love it, and I hope it goes really well for him in Bellator. It's no easy meet. I think if they give him the right opponents, probably just haven't been training that long. The only thing I got lucky is because I've retired at 27, 31 now. Started training a little bit at 28. I've kind of had 3 years of martial arts, not full time, he's condensing it.
Sure.
But I've had a good time to learn my jiu-jitsu. My boxing's pretty decent. It just takes time.
Sure.
He will have the skills. He's a professional athlete. He's a freak athlete. He's a smart guy. He knows how to learn. It's just how much time you have to download the data to be able to do it when it counts at full speed while you're tired. That's the name of the game.
Maybe we can organise a charity fight between you and Hask.
Charity, I would probably do it.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Right now I'm back in shape. I can make weight. It'd be fine. A little while ago I was way heavy.
Yeah. No, but it's good. You're looking well, mate. I'm really happy that you're back on track, and the whole cancer thing looks like it's you've gotten over that.
Keep going checks, and it can come back. But for now, I got the all clear, cancer free. Surgery got rid of it. Chemo was precautionary to make sure it didn't come back. But we'll see it in a year or 2 years. It's kind of the window. Most people, if it does recur, it happens around the 2-year checkup. Unfortunately, I had one friend who had the exact same cancer as me, the exact same treatment, and in 2 years he found it spread again, and he's now having to have radiotherapy and chemo. So you never know, but but I'm hopefully it's supposed to be percentage-wise somewhere around 9% chance of reoccurrence. So hopefully I'm in the 91% of not reoccurring.
Yeah, well, that's good because I mean, I really like the fact that you kind of put that out there as well and sort of made that public, which is a really personal thing as a guy. That testicular cancer. I'm a guy. Am I somehow less of a man or whatever? And I was really sort of okay, cool. And I'll be honest with you, mate, I did have a good feel of my bits in your honour, and I was thinking of you at the time.
That's basically the whole reason why I talked about it.
That's awesome.
It was like I didn't really announce it when I had it. I kind of only my close family and friends knew, or people that needed to know. But then when it was over and I kind of got through it, you're clear. I wanted to use my experience to the positive, just to try and create awareness. Like in hindsight, I probably could have gone and got it checked earlier. I wasn't sure. It's just one of those things like you put it off. You don't really want to go have some random person feel, fondle and check and go from there. But honestly, the sooner you catch it, less invasive, less chance of chemo, better survival rate, better everything. And it is common in younger men. Like the key demographic they get it is somewhere between, I think, almost half of the people that get it is between 35 and 40.
Right.
And then a lot
that's
of people,
where I am.
Yeah, so you just got to stay on top of it, and that was kind of it. I had someone message me privately who basically said, "Hey mate, after listening to your podcast where you talked about it and everything, there'd been something I'd been worrying about. I went to the doctor, got it checked. 2 days later, I had surgery. It turned out I had cancer in my testicle. I had surgery to get it removed." And I'm waiting on the pathology to see if I need whatever, but if it wasn't for your podcast, I wouldn't have gone. And, that to me almost brought a tear to my eye, and that was kind of the whole point of it.
Sure.
If that one person is one person that's benefit, I'm sure, like you said, there's a lot of people that told me they checked, but that one person who caught it, who wouldn't have caught it maybe otherwise, that to me makes the whole thing worthwhile.
That's awesome. I'm really stoked that you did that though, mate. I'm really good that you're out of that. I'm want to ask a couple of other questions because a few folks are sitting there watching and want to ask questions. So, in your opinion, where do you see American rugby in the next 5 to 10 years? That's JF Burns, 2005. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
I think it's going to move progressively forward. There's obviously a few hurdles to get over with USA Rugby restructuring, finding an actual sustainable plan where they're not in this constant bankrupt, failure, strapped for cash environment. But rugby on a whole in the US is moving forward massively. Collegiate rugby is progressing. The MLR is the real game changer because it finally has independent financial capital behind investing rugby in like 12 areas around the country now, where they have a company that's invested, that is trying to grow the sport, grow fans, get grassroots in their area, as well as USA Rugby, as well as a plan. It gives the collegiate system as something to tear towards for the draft, the players to come in as well. It starts to create a tier. That's going to massively benefit USA Rugby in the 15s department.
Yeah.
I think that long term, US will really see the benefits of having a full professional squad era, but it's going to take for 12 years, a couple World Cup cycles for them to really transfer that growth into the US 15s teams and the world stage.
Yeah.
And then the other factor is sevens. I think sevens is massively changing the landscape for rugby. It gives the Olympic pathway. It's very easy and watchable for the American audience, fast-paced, easy to get into, easy to go on TV, and it's easier to learn for crossover athletes because it's less complicated than 15s. And so I think collectively those together, as well as the growth of the women's rugby, I think on a women's scale, 7s and 15s women's eventually will be very, very dominant in the world landscape. I think part of that is the collegiate pathway that we talked about earlier. And also because that comes with it, recruits the best athletes around in the US and elsewhere, and the US has so much athletic talent, men and women, to sports, to training, everything. So the more people you can steer your pathway, the better athletes you get in your team, and I think the men will benefit that too. But I think on a whole, rugby is moving forward. I work for NBC Sports. We have tons of rugby on TV at Premiership, Champions Cups, Six Nations, World Cups, sevens. There's other stuff they're going to announce. They haven't announced yet. That I can't say, which will be very exciting.
Come on, dish the gossip. You can't wait like that. You dangling that one.
I can't say, but it'll be good. I
That's awesome.
And it's all moving in the right direction. That I think with getting more people watching high-level rugby, more people playing professional rugby in the US, all the pieces sort of moving together. Hopefully, some Olympic medals from the sevens men and women's team. And I think we put it all in a pot together, and we start growing something pretty special here. And it's only trending upwards. It's just never like going to be like, oh, we're just going to put this in, it's going to grow to infinity. You've got to be realistic and understand the pieces, but positive growth in moving forward, definitely.
Awesome. Hey, mate, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I know you've got lots of training to do, and I'm sure you've got more important things to be doing than banging on about rugby with me.
With my name on it today. That's the big task of the day.
And she's behind you as well, flogging you.
I have to keep up with her times, mate.
I bet she's a legit athlete. I mean, she looks in great shape. She looks super fit. That's awesome.
She's very smart and she's tough on me. So.
Dude, you're punching way above your weight, mate.
I always think that's the props, like mantra. You're not really a true prop unless you punch above your weight. And this thing, you look at World Rugby, almost every prop is punching well above his weight. I think it comes with the MO.
Okay. And so, I've got to give you one admission. I have a small crush on Nia Tapper. What's the? Like Nia Tapper? Yeah, I have a little crush on it just because she's cool. Like, she's just the funniest person that I've ever come across. So if you put a good word in for me, I appreciate it.
I'll put a good word in for you, mate. I think I heard she likes Bad Boys. So,
oh, perfect.
Yeah, you get that mean streak in, it'll be good.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for your time, mate, and I'll speak to you soon. Make sure you give us a buzz when you're over here next time.
For sure. Absolute pleasure. Thanks, guys, for all you do at ASM. I'm really proud to be involved with you. I think you do a fantastic job. And to anyone who's still on and watches this back, who's looking to come to American University for rugby or any other sports, these guys are the place to go. They really look after you. They got the best operation. And I put my name by them for a reason. So thanks a lot for tuning in.
Good, man. Cheers, Alex. Take it easy, mate.